Geordie Journos back here at the City Ground where Newcastle United have done it again against Nottingham Forest. Exactly. 3-1 win here this Sunday. Come from behind. 3 wins in a row. Looking really good.
Does it feel like we're back? Is it you? I think I've seen some evidence. We're not just talking about one performance. We're talking about 3 where they showed a bit of their old selves in that Chelsea game, then they had to put in a bit of a gritty defensive performance to ensure that win was seen out. Then it was a backs to the wall at times, but kept Arsenal at arm's length at St James's Park again. Really, really solid performance. But then today that was more, and that second half in particular was back to 2022-23 for me. It was, look, Forest played into Newcastle's hands. You can't really overlook that largely, and I think you might have said it, and I don't want to spoil your thunder, Jordan, but they were a little bit naive in their approach. And you have talked before about Enzo Maresca and other managers as well, saying you play a game of basketball against Newcastle United, a to and fro game, that they're going to have the legs and the physicality to damage you, and that's what Newcastle did today. It was really, if you're a neutral watching that game, and I imagine plenty will have, it was a pretty basic, easy win for Newcastle United. Even that first half, we had a conversation at half time, I couldn't criticise them too much. They didn't have any cutting edge and any intent in the final third, and it felt a little bit Everton, it felt a little bit Brighton, but they had a lot of the ball, they dominated, they didn't really give a whole lot away. You couldn't fault them apart from the goal, really, where it's like really poor defending, I would say. But what they added in that second half, which they've largely failed to add in recent weeks, or recent months, would be that cutting edge, just to take teams to task and really take their opportunities. And they did that in the second half. I thought it was, like I say, it was a roll back the clock kind of performance. As the cleaners get him.
We're last year, as always.
We've got a guest.
In terms of...
He wants to be on the Geordie Journos, who doesn't?
Yeah, no. But yeah, we're the last people working here other than the cleaners.
And Craig Hope, he's up there.
Nice in the corner. Right in the very corner.
Cool. So, yeah, I thought the changes made a big impact in the second half in particular, where Sandro Tonali comes on 3 minutes later, he's playing a role in Joe Linton's goal, and Harvey Barnes comes on 3 minutes later, he's scoring, assisted by Sandro Tonali. So I think that had a big impact, and obviously Joe Linton, it's like, when in doubt, move Joe Linton about anyhow. Like,
I like it.
That's what he does.
So,
it's moving to midfield against Norwich all those years ago, transformed him, moving him out to the left, transformed Newcastle, and now today, do you need some answers? Move Joe Linton out to the right, and then he puts you in front.
So he showed amazing quality for the goal when he cut in on that left foot. But what I would say about Joe Linton as a professional and a person at Newcastle United is you can never fault his attitude, you can never fault his effort, and that shines through. The fact that if there's a question mark over the left hand side, you play Joe Linton there, he'll do a job for you. Pull him into midfield, he will give you an honest, he might not always give you the best performance, but he'll always give you an honest 90 minutes. And again, put him on the right hand side, which he didn't start out there, he started out on the left, but Anthony Gordon cut a very frustrated figure on the right hand side. It just doesn't suit him. And he's putting a shift in for the team out on that right hand side. I don't think it's a lack of effort, but he looks frustrated. And then when you switch to the left, didn't have his best game, but he still put a shift in, put Joe Linton on the right. It doesn't stop the lad. The lad just, he's a physical presence. He causes headaches galore. Look, his form can dip, he can be inconsistent as he has been this season. He's been as awful at times this season as he's been brilliant in the last few weeks. But when I can never fault him for, you see the stuff he does off the pitch. He's really involved in the area. He loves playing for Newcastle United, and there's a lot to be said about that. When the chips are down and they need a player to get stuck in and show a bit of heart, he's got that in abundance. He's an adopted Geordie. He loves playing for the club, and I love watching him play when he's in that kind of form. Outstanding. There isn't really any comparable players in the Premier League who can perform like that, who give that physical, on the edge type of performance. That just, it must be a nightmare to play against, because if he's not winning the ball off, he's shoving you in the chest, or he's getting in your back, or he's barging out of the way. Really, he'd be an awful player to play against.
He's quite a simple player in a lot of ways, because it's, you put him wherever he is on the pitch, and he's just his opposite number. I'm going to win my battles against you. That's what he wants to do, and I think you see that whatever position he plays, that's why he quite often in recent weeks has got the upper hand and the edge on whoever he's been up against, who's been tasked with trying to stop him.
I think he's brilliant. I would say as well for Bruno Guimaraes, I think he's been outstanding this season. You were just talking about him before.
Yeah, so
This season, recently.
I think he's been brilliant this season, but I don't think a lot of people do. I think he's had dips. But
I think his last 2 weeks have been
Yeah,
back to his
outstanding.
very, very best.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a better word, but he's just such an intelligent footballer. Oh God, you know what I mean? He's just such an intelligent footballer. Even that the second half at the end, for full game actually, rarely uses the ball, brings the ball in tight areas, ends up winning free kicks. It's just a really clever footballer.
do you not think he looks fitter?
Yeah, I think I probably
he
would.
looks fitter.
Are you saying because he's looked ripped on a couple of?
I think he looks lean.
Because him, I'll tell you what.
Tell him his face, everything looks lean.
I think his missus is out the most. She's doing the boxing.
Yeah.
He's getting involved doing extra gym sessions. So I think his missus is it Anna. It's got
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of lot of
Credit to
credit.
him.
Tell you what, honestly, I think there's a lot of question marks about his performances. Realistically, his performances dip when the team's performances dip. I don't really think it was an individual thing. I think overall, there's been a lot of question marks about his captaincy. People have questioned whether he's any value to the team. I find it remarkable, and I said this a couple of weeks ago about Isak. When people question Isak, like it's the old argument that makes so much sense. Form is temporary, and class is permanent. If you were to pick two footballers in that team who really you've just got to stick by, even if they're not playing well, it's Alexander Isak and Bruno Guimaraes. Because on their best day, and everybody else in this team and most players in the Premier League can have their best days, those two are up there with the very best this country has to offer. There isn't many like them, which puts them right at the top table in world football as well, given that they're some of the best midfielders and forwards in the Premier League. So I always think the class is always there, even when they have dips in form. And I think Bruno now looks. I was talking about Joelinton being a real physical specimen. I think Bruno looks in really good nick.
He's carrying the ball really well today, I thought, and he plays on the edge. And
He does.
for a player who plays on the edge, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, come out on top, there's real credit to that. And we knew it was going to be a good day for Bruno when he won the toss before the game.
He did just need to win one at St James,
Yeah, it
didn't
does.
he?
And I reckon as a captain, he's lost the most tosses at St James's
Possibly.
Park as a Newcastle United skipper.
I'm fed up with them flipping around. It didn't do them any harm last time.
No.
But it would be nice to see them firing down to the Gallagher in the second half for a change.
It's a winning formula at Nottingham Forest because all the times we've won here, they've always shoot. I'm saying that end, but you can't even see it.
The Trent end you
The
can't
Trent
see.
end,
I don't even know what the other end's called, where the away fans are housed.
The
Bridgeford stand.
stand. Oh, anyway,
Lovely.
I've been in there as a away fan, but I couldn't tell you what was.
I really enjoy coming here. We've been here.
well,
I've been a few times. The last time I came here as an
3-4
away
times.
fan was we beat them in the Cup. Do you remember we beat them in the League Cup? Probably about
Colaccini header.
yeah.
With a back post.
Yeah.
Remember
That was
that?
that day, aye. I used to
Good
live
times.
down. I used to live down here back then.
Yes, yes,
yeah.
you did. You said you covered both clubs at one point, didn't you? With freelance or whatever it was.
Yeah, I used to come here quite a lot,
This-
covering
Yeah.
for the Football League paper.
This
Well,
is an incredible place.
It is,
It's an incredible football club, to be fair. I've never actually been in Notts County. I know they're a proud football club as
Yeah.
well, but this is a proper ground. This proper football.
It's
club.
always felt like, even when they're in the Championship, when I used to cover them,
Yeah.
it always felt like a proper ground with good fans, good place to come. Just feels, you can feel a bit of history here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which obviously you lose at certain places. There's a lot of new grounds at the Premier League, but we're not going to go into that debate today.
No.
No, I will see it for another day.
Right, no, I thought the two Brazilian boys were the standouts for me. I thought it was a bit of, not as good a day for Anthony Gordon, the rest of the team.
Eddie Howe picked out Dan Burn and Fabian Schär
Did he?
having excellent performances. I thought they were fine. I thought
Solid.
Dan Burn had his moments early on.
There was
Very harsh yellow card,
Yes.
you could say.
So that was the other thing. A lot of people criticising the referee. I think people will probably agree on here. I thought the referee was a disgrace today.
Disgrace.
Yeah,
He was
I genuinely. Well,
crap.
okay, so I'm going to roll that back. Maybe not just the referee. I thought the officials were today.
There was history. The only thing I would say about Anthony Taylor, and I said to you during the game, and I don't know if you'd picked on it, but there had been history with Anthony Taylor and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, they weren't.
It was 2-0 to Brighton, and it was Anthony Taylor, although he's a fourth official, told the referee at the time, I can't remember what it was, told him to send off Gibbs White for a second yellow, and then he also got Nuno sent off as well, and that resulted in Nuno getting a 3-match touchline ban, and that was Nuno's first game back. So when
maybe
Anthony
that's
Taylor was appointed as referee at the start of the week, there was a lot of reaction
So you're suggesting he's gone the other way?
Yes, but actually, look, no, I'm not trying to bring the referee into what I don't know what the term is, but I'm not trying to question his integrity. But the way he performed in that first half, I thought he was a man that was conscious of the reaction that he would get from the home fans if he started giving decisions to Newcastle's way.
How have they not even had a conversation about the Livramento thing? That's the one I was going to go and say I thought was quite disgraceful. The lad clearly has a facial injury.
He's bleeding.
And he's bleeding from his mouth. And Dan Burn ends up getting booked.
Yeah,
And
now he's banned.
missing West
And
Ham.
now misses the next game because of it.
Not right.
Eddie Howe wasn't happy.
Was he not with that particular incident?
You'll rarely see me complaining to the fourth official, but I felt I had to for that.
So because he allowed it to play, Dan Burns' foul was a clear bookable because he was just trying to
Yeah,
stop
it was-
the
it
play.
was a yellow
because-
card.
Yeah.
But realistically, where was the conversation? You can't even. He didn't even book him or speak to him after elbowing in the face. Look, I'm not saying it was
The
intentional.
bad one on Longstaff as well.
And the one on Longstaff, if he catches him, that's a
Is that
straight
the same
red
player,
card.
by the way?
Yeah,
Straight red card. And he didn't get booked till the second half.
for the softest
He
challenge
must have
you
about
put in
6
all
or
day.
7, and 2 of them are red card challenges.
And I heard certain radio stations here in front of us talking about the fact that they believe Dan Burn was the one that ultimately should have been sent
I've
off.
seen that.
I mean, he did tread a fine line because he had a dodgy challenge, which maybe if he's not on a booking could have been a yellow card
Yeah.
in the second half down there. So
I think the referee wouldn't have given that though because of, again, it's one of those things. They should always call it, but he's not going to book him again, is he, for something that's not? It's just a booking, isn't it?
no,
It's not.
he still
it's not
would
a-
have only missed one game,
Yeah, he would have.
but
it
then he would
been-
have still been on 4 bookings, so potentially 2.
Right.
further
You
down
know
the
the
line.
technicalities things are, these things are done.
But even the, like, and I'm pointing here, you can't even see this. The corner here when it was a goal kick, the ball had bounced. It was Alanga, Nick Pope, but the ball came off
Yep.
Alanga last. The corner then resulted in Joe Willock giving away a clear foul. There's no doubt about that. And then of course Nottingham Forest score from the.
Some
From
bad
the
stuff,
freak.
wasn't that day? I
Yeah.
didn't think there was some really strange decisions from all of the officials. The throw-ins went ways where it was so obvious. And that corner one that was in Newcastle, it was a goal kick.
It was
all
Paul
day.
last week, if I remember, as
But
well, for both teams.
Anthony Taylor's meant to be the essentially England's top ref or one of the top refs. Every
Top
time
refs
I
are
see,
Geordie, that's the problem.
every time I see him, I think I think he's questionable. Anthony Taylor. Every time I watch, every time I see him, referee game always gets out of control. And Forest fans also, that's the guy I'm thinking of. So you remember last year when Forest had the 3 penalties Everton turned down?
Yes.
That was Anthony Taylor.
It's no wonder they're angry.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. But anyway,
They booed the Premier League theme, didn't
yes.
they? When it came out?
yeah.
Anthony Taylor fans, if you're not happy with what we said, let us know in the comments.
They don't like and subscribe. No, I think the thing I'll walk away from today, going into this international break, which sadly international breaks continue to punctuate the season, which is frustrating. It just feels like a bad time this time, but I'm happy we're going into that with some momentum. I'm really happy. The last 3 results has really transformed my thinking, and I imagine a lot of people out there, your thinking on the season, because what it's done is turn a season that was at risk of looking like quite a negative one and one that was heading in the wrong direction. Now all of a sudden you start looking up. And Newcastle United at 1-0 down today, we're down to 13th in the table. They're up to 8th with a win. Just shows how tight it is.
Yeah.
But they're only a point off where they want to be.
Yeah.
And where this football club wants to be, despite what the budget may say, or despite who they didn't sign in the summer, they want to be in the Champions League. They want to be back where they feel they belong, or to be fighting in that mix.
Yeah.
And they're not a million miles away. And you go and beat West Ham on that Monday night, they'll be even closer, because not everybody will. The way the league's going at the minute, everybody's taking points from each
They'll
other.
probably drop back in the bottom half by the time they play West Ham on the Monday.
Potentially, yeah, because it's the last game of the weekend that they will. But it'll give them an opportunity. If they go and win, they'll be back right close to the teams at the top. So I'm filled with. We've talked of green shoots. It's more than green shoots now. The green shoots were there against Chelsea that started to grow. We're talking about quite the foliage at Newcastle United.
Got away with words,
Yeah, quite the foliage growing there.
They've went back to
God,
what they'd done 2 seasons ago and are doing it well again. So they've always had that idea of playing that way, and we criticise them because they were trying to play the same way and it wasn't working. But
Yes.
they've actually found the formula again.
Yeah.
If that's the identity of Eddie Howe's team, and if they played it at its maximum, which they've been doing the last 3 games, that's great. But they weren't previously doing that, so it's went from feeling a bit unsustainable to actually they've went back the same model, but then have got found the formula to do it by playing certain players and certain exchanges. I know Joe didn't move to the right today, but the left hand side, Sean Longstaff coming back in. Even the 2 defenders, Burn and Share, were the 2 defenders are OK Botman, but they'd played together previously when they'd stayed up. So there's just a lot of partnerships that have came back in. They seem to be solid, or more solid for it, shall I say.
Yeah. Eddie Howe was asked after the game about Newcastle's identity. Can Newcastle still be that possession team that they seem to be striving to be, or do you just go back to the basics of what made you successful, playing on the transition, attacking, counter-attacking with intent? And Eddie Howe sort of just went, you play to what suits your players the best, and obviously this is
They're
what
doing a
suits
bit of both
Newcastle.
at the minute, though, aren't they? And
Today I thought
They had to do a
first
bit of
off they
both.
controlled it
Yeah.
without actually asking serious questions, and I thought played into Nottingham Forest's hands a little bit, where Nottingham Forest were the ones countering and looked more dangerous. Whereas second half, once that Isak goal goes in from the corner, good to see that record
Corner goal, no, I can't
end.
believe it.
And it was, I wouldn't say one-way traffic, but Newcastle just looked like the team just turning the screw a little bit and looked the more dangerous. And like Jordan said, Nottingham Forest were a bit naive, and then Newcastle back to what they've done previously, where they could have scored 4 or 5 today.
Easily.
Newcastle.
That's why it was easy. I thought the margin wasn't wide enough when you think about the chances that they created. Harvey Barnes has a brilliant chance to add a second late on.
Gordon, they had a 3-on-2, and it was played out wide to Isak, was it, who like clips one in, and Gordon just can't quite get it away.
Isak's
Isak
volley.
makes a
That was
great
Gordon,
chance for him.
Willock.
Played it in. So yeah, there's a few big chances there.
Yeah, that's why I can't not to take anything away from Newcastle, but I can't understand Forest's approach where they were so trying to be defensively solid up until it went to 1-1, and it was like, oh well, we're going to try and win the games ourselves, and
Well,
then left gaps galore.
When you think about the difference in context of the two football clubs, though, Newcastle, they're coming here striving to get where they were before, whereas Nottingham Forest are in uncharted territory. They haven't really been here before. They had nothing to lose today.
Yeah.
They've had an amazing start of the season, well above what their expectations would have been. Nothing to lose. That's probably why I think you guys mentioned it was a very short press conference with Nuno, because anybody would be loath to criticise anything they've seen today.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest are at home in front of their own fans, have had some amazing results. They've gone to places like Liverpool and won. You know, they've beaten really good teams home and away. So what was the harm in them saying, do you know what, you've come here to play and we're going to try and beat you, we're going to go and take you on? And they did do a bit of that in the second half. There was some naivety to that as well, because that's if Newcastle want a team to do, any team to do something, it's that.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like, right, you leave gaps and you let our players run into spaces. And I think in that second half, I can probably think of a top of my head, there was 3 or 4 in the last 15 minutes, 3-on-3s, where Newcastle should have done better than what they did. This score could have been a lot wider, and that again, it sort of goes in that idea of things growing, that we've not seen that. We've never come away from a game this season saying Newcastle should have scored a lot today. We've come away saying, oh, they should have nicked the point, they probably should have narrowly beat Everton. They've all been decent. They shouldn't have got beat off Brighton, but we've never come away saying they should have scored a hatful today. And I'm going to be walking here from here saying they should have scored a hatful today, which I thought would come next week against West Ham in that home game, but
We'll wait and see.
no, I still think it might.
Depends on the managerial
think it might.
situation, but we'll see.
Hey,
I don't know.
you'd
under
always back
pressure he is.
Newcastle St James's Park, and you'd definitely
totally.
always back them under the lights.
Against West Ham, it's the things that I've always, I've said it
always
on here
games,
numerous
always good
times.
game.
The games when I was a season ticket holder, you kind of half look forward to is games against the likes of West Ham and Tottenham and people like this, because they're a bit like us. They come and try and play, and they're the type of teams that you can hammer them.
It's like their own ego won't let them
Yes,
just
they won't let
sit
them.
back.
Yeah, it doesn't. Because they're good clubs.
Yeah.
Good clubs who don't want to be seen as the teams that
Weak.
go away, and it's a sign of weakness to go there and lock up the doors and not let anybody in. So they don't. They come and play, and that's why you can get good results against them. So, and they're always exciting games. Both teams giving it a good go. Villa's a bit like that as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I won't be on the Jolly Jones that day.
Well, you know.
No.
Oh, you got your tickets, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got tickets for that day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, I'm not going to say why, just in case anybody's watching. I'll
Corporate. Corporate Kennedy.
No, I'm not that rich. Jody Jonas doesn't pay that well. However, I do want to say a big thanks on the live. If you did catch the live, I was kind of in this area before. We had some amazing donations. I can't remember names, so I really apologise for that. But we had a couple of donations. A 49 quid donation, 49.99
Wow.
donation, and another £5 as well from 2 really generous fans out there. So
Incredible. Thank you so much.
and they love the work we do. So if you like the work we do, you know what the thanks button is. I'm only joking. we do appreciate, like I said in that video, anybody who contributes to anything we do. We do this for free. We do it because we enjoy it, because we love the club. We love what we do. And anything that ever comes in, we appreciate so much. We're going to an awards ceremony in about a week's time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of helped pay for that, hasn't it? Some of the things that people put in, and we are actually I haven't been told to use this, a little bit of a meeting later this week, potentially. I haven't set a date yet about membership schemes, so
Okay.
let's get our heads together and think about how we can
There's
do
been
that.
a few people asking for
There
it.
has, yeah.
That's the next step.
The next step for the Joy Journos is probably, is seeing if we can get a membership scheme, and that way is you guys can support, and we'll try and give you a little bit more than what you would get by just watching the free videos too. Right, we've only done 20 minutes.
I think probably a word for the substitutes. I don't think we've talked about them yet.
Yeah,
You
I
mentioned
brushed
it
on
at
it
the
early
start.
on, but yeah, I think Sandro Tonali came on and really showed his quality today.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
really
he was
did.
excellent. And Harvey Barnes, someone who we have criticised in
we
recent
have,
weeks,
no doubt about it.
showed, look, that's
Good, yeah.
perfect for
It
Harvey
was
Barnes.
perfect for him.
Stretched game.
Yeah.
He is someone who will run, show the energy, bit of pace and quality.
He's not a starter for me.
Yeah,
He's-
that's the thing.
No,
that's,
he's not, he's
it's
not.
perfect for Harvey Barnes. That's him.
And he could
could have
score
scored twice.
He could continue scoring a lot of goals for this club, and it's the squad building, isn't it? If you've got Harvey Barnes and you can sign another, if they can get another forward option through the door and just give themselves that relief when one of the big guys gets injured, that can throw them in there. We see Anthony Gordon limping around today. He's a doubt for the England games, as Eddie Howe said. And
Hip injury.
with a hip injury, all of a sudden, if you take Anthony Gordon out of the team, it starts to become a little bit problematic again. Like, your problem you solve by putting Joe Linton on the other side, it's become an issue all of a sudden again. So they do need another
Harvey Barnes
body in
likes
there.
West Ham though.
Oh, has he got a good record against them?
Remember last season?
Callum
Came
Wilson.
on and
as well.
scored
Oh, he was the man
He was
that
the
day.
man, aye.
He was. Him and Lewis Hall.
Yeah. Well, a big talking point ahead of the game, which, well, we've got 22 minutes in without even mentioning it. 3 former Newcastle players Newcastle came up against today, and almost nothing to talk about really.
Chris Wood was Chris Wood. So I think everybody knows. Like I said this on the live, anybody who watches Newcastle United or has seen Chris Wood play for Newcastle United, that was Newcastle United Chris Wood. You can't really argue with it, can you? He was very
There.
very ineffectual. Doesn't
Sorry.
so the cleaner's gone past again.
She's really apologetic, and I was like,
Oh, it's fine. Yes, Chris Wood. He's a limited player. That's what he is. He's a good pro. He'll give you 100%. But he's limited, and he showed his limitations today. Newcastle's defenders knew exactly how to handle him. I thought there was a
helped,
proper
yeah.
spice in the game when Elliot Anderson came on, because all of a sudden you
That
had
was
Joe
good,
Linton and
yeah.
Bruno were in his face and we're not going to give you an inch, son. That's what that was, wasn't it? And it was
I
quite
think
good to
Anderson
see.
actually got the better of, was it
Once.
Joe Linton once?
but he backed off Harvey Barnes for his goal. Harvey Barnes put the ball in between him and the fullback, I think it was.
Matt Sells with 2 assists
Matt
today, I
Sells
thought.
was crap.
Well, he's the third one.
Sorry.
Oh,
I like
Poor
it.
Matt.
Just
No.
say as you mean.
Sorry. I thought you were going to agree with us. They're not laughing at us.
it's just like,
Just came from nowhere.
that's something you'd say when the camera was off.
I'm keeping it in.
Yeah, keep it in.
He wasn't very good.
No, he wasn't.
Still
But
excellent.
Especially not for the Barnes goal. No, yeah.
If Chris
Watch
Wood
out
was
for
the
that.
Newcastle Chris Wood, Matt Sells was the Newcastle Matt Sells
was,
today.
yeah.
Going into the game though, Forest had one of the best defensive records in the league and still do.
I don't know how, because being brutally honest, they might have just had a really bad day.
He's sort of gung-ho defending, wasn't
But they weren't like, you didn't need to get in the FBI to unpick that lock, like the experts. You didn't need to get like, it was very basic.
Yeah.
Like, they just looked like a team who were kind of half disciplined in their positioning, but looked like if you put them under any reasonable pressure, particularly that midfield, which their midfield was awful, by the way, today. If you put it under any pressure, the gaps were just cavernous. Like, it was so easy. I thought the only one who had a half decent game and showed something was the fullback on the right hand side. He looks like he's got a bit going both ways. The rest, although like I said before previously, I thought they've got it on paper a good looking back four. Maybe the big centre half looked half decent as well. But I don't understand how they've only conceded 7 goals, because
10 now.
10, yeah.
I
They're
just-
still only one of the only teams who've conceded less.
I just wonder if I got them where it was like all the talk around Forest and the start of the season they've had, and even the build-up Eddie House press comms got sort of potential Leicester City. But I just wonder
Right,
if I think you probably called it, where it's Forest have got now to lose, where it's like
Aye.
we want to try and win. So it's game out of 1-1, we'll come at you, and that's when Newcastle picked them off really. Because Newcastle in the first half, Forest, as I say, were quite defensive, and Newcastle really struggled to create chances. But then
I don't know.
that goal when they eventually broke the deadlock or breached Matt Sells for Isak's goal for a corner, Forest were like, right, we're gonna try and go for it now, and gaps emerged, and it was so easy for Newcastle.
Yeah.
So not taking anything away from Newcastle,
Yeah.
because that's them at their best, but I do think Forest were just really silly actually for it's a nothing to lose mentality, and that's fine, but they could have probably sat in and maybe tried to get a point. They came at Newcastle and they probably picked them off.
Yeah, Newcastle scored at a really good time, because we were saying at half time this could finish anything almost, this game, even though it was only 1-0. It was, I wouldn't say tight, but it was end to end. If Newcastle get the next goal, they could go on and win. If Forest get the next goal, you just don't know how many goals they scored. Even at 1-1, you were like, there's more goals in this game.
Could have
never
been,
felt settled.
Yeah, it could have been Newcastle's Brighton again. It could have been where they've literally dominated the whole game, haven't really created enough to win it, and ended up losing here today. You could have been saying that, but it wasn't, and it was never close to that really. When you look at the statistics at the end, they were outpassed, outrun, chances created, outscored. It was just, I thought there was levels between the teams really when you look at the 90 minutes as a whole. I thought Newcastle dominated them in terms on their patch, dominated them at home. They couldn't really get the ball. The only hope they had was the odd break from one of the wingers or a set piece,
Which is probably their only threat, to be fair, wasn't it?
and
was
again,
today.
The
again, we're
one
going back-
ball out.
Yeah, it was like Arsenal
Which
light.
they're good at.
That was Arsenal light, because that's all Arsenal were last week, was set piece merchants, and it's a very different game.
I
So
was
yeah,
seeing a lot of teams be quite one-dimensional.
I don't
against
think
Newcastle.
the Premier League. I don't think the Premier League's as good this year. I think actually, that's a weird thing to say, because I don't know.
There's not two.
It's more level,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
been
Yeah.
squished.
That's a really good way of putting it. The teams at the top are still good, but they're probably not as good as they were. Hence why Liverpool's really taken advantage. Despite being decent, they've not been unbelievable. They're not been Man City or anything of years previous. The teams at the bottom probably aren't quite as bad. There's no Sheffield United, even though teams have struggled. Southampton has struggled, and Wolves have struggled, and etc. But there's probably not a Sheffield United in there. So I just think it probably is a bit of a bunching together, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the general average has gone up, but there isn't any I don't think there's an outstanding team in the Premier League this year.
No.
And for that reason, I don't think there's any game you go to, barring historic scores, where you would say, I really fear this game because it could be dangerous. Like I say, barring historic scores that you don't win at Anfield, you don't really win much at Old Trafford, you don't win at Man City for 20 years or whatever it may be in the league.
Don't win at the Emirates.
Don't win at the Emirates. But there isn't really anything to fear from those games, which for me takes us back to the mentality of 2 years ago, that I didn't really fear, even though Newcastle did take a couple of heavy beatings that year. I never feared anything because they were playing so well. I'd love to get back to that, because I think the Premier League this year is more akin to the one 2 years ago, where there's a lot to play for. There's a lot of play. I think the Champions League race is wide open, looking at what I've seen so far. I very early called it at the start of the season, saying I think the four's sealed off. I don't really think that's the case. I think the top three will be the top three come the end of May,
Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool.
but I don't think, I'm not 100% that Chelsea will be that fourth team. Not 100%, because we've seen them a few weeks ago and they weren't anything great. Newcastle just weren't very. Exactly. That's all they had to do.
Just wonder with Maresca, because he had such a good start with Leicester,
and then fell
off a cliff. I just
yeah.
wonder if we might see that again at Chelsea, but still early days.
Villa's having their little struggles at the moment, which was always going to come with extra games and extra pressures. We talk about the ease at which they've had it in the Champions League, but with the ease of the quality of opposition that they've had, apart from obviously Bayern Munich, who aren't the Bayern Munich of a few years ago even, but that what's been brought into the equation there is the extra games. So it's not only the games that Newcastle had, it's even more games this season, and more travel, and more disruption, and more Sunday games, and more silly 8 PM kickoffs on a Saturday night. It is a very disrupting competition, the way that it's been set. And yeah, I think Newcastle United are primed if they can keep this 3-game little run. It's only still a mini run.
It's only 2 in the league as well.
2 in the league, but if they can keep this going, because even in defeats previous to that, even when we were getting frustrated and fans were getting frustrated, there were still signs that things were slightly better than what they were before. They just didn't look like scoring.
Yeah, that was the problem. Yeah.
Now they look like scoring. it looks a bit brighter. If you can start scoring goals, you can challenge anybody, as they
Yeah.
proved last season. They weren't as good a team as they were the season before, but last season they scored goals,
Yeah.
so they could be in any game.
Alexander Isak's key to that, and he's came alive again in
Yeah,
the
he
box,
has.
in and
Yeah.
around the box, where he's getting involved. He was in and out today, but he should have scored twice. He did take his goal very well. 4 goals in 4 games now. I think only Cole Palmer, Erling Haaland, and Mo Salah have scored more goals
You
than
think
him
that?
since.
You think that? You know.
Off the top of my head, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
John Anderson's man of the match, by the way.
Isak. Okay.
More of
all
a
a-
professional than we've ever been, so
It's all opinions.
He was very. he was
I've got
very
a
involved.
great John Anderson story. Do you know the sweets here?
yes.
I don't know if I
I
told
don't think
you
you told
this.
me.
Tell-
this, no.
tell it.
Right, because obviously it's the end of the day. Do you know the sweets, the
Ah.
jelly beans? You have
I've
these
plenty of
little operation tweezers to try and pick them out. So you're one. And he's like, just put your hand in the bowl, man. And
And he felt it at that
I
moment.
was like, I feel like Jacob Murphy right now. I was like, all right, I know.
Very,
cheers.
very unhygienic.
Just
by
put your
John
hand in the
Anderson.
bowl, man.
I just put it in the net.
I went, thanks, John. I'll take that
That's
advice.
it's very unhygienic though by John Anderson.
I
No,
know.
well, there was none left, was there?
No, it was towards the end of the day. I went, they'll be throwing them out anyway.
Can I say what one of the sweeties looked like? Or is
No,
that not?
no.
You could get it on video and then let people judge.
I haven't got a.
I think they're all gone. They were very
that's a
tasty,
shame.
but they were very suspect.
There were witches. Halloween
Is
witches.
that what they were?
Let's
Halloween
just
witches?
say that's what they look
I
like.
think.
I'm gonna check to see. I'm gonna check to see there. If it's there, I'm gonna put it over this video,
Okay.
and you can. Hopefully, people will get the gist.
On that note, on that bombshell, when there? Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's we're done. I'm going home with a happy smile on my
Smiles
face.
on our face.
And we'll go and treat ourselves to a pint on the way home. And I hope everyone else out there has got a chance to enjoy a little toast to Newcastle United in this international break, which hopefully I'd love to see would bring a cap for Lewis Hall for the amazing story that he's had at Newcastle United, from a lad who was really upset, frustrated, but got his head down and has worked so hard to get him in to an England squad, and I hope he does. I don't think he'll get it. I'm not sure he'll get a chance given the competitive games, but I'd love to see him get that cap,
Yeah.
because I think he fully deserves it.
Yeah, it's a lesson of perseverance and
It is.
endeavour and just believing in yourself at the end of the day and believing in what the club are telling you to do. It's like, right, you're not playing right now. Trust the process.
So if you believe in the Geordie Journals and you believe in Dominic Sker and Jordan Cronin, then do keep supporting the Geordie
And
Journals.
yourself. Back yourself.
How about myself? All right, and myself. Do you believe in me? Maybe.
We believe.
Hey, you're representing.
No, I'm good. Anybody out there? I am the Geordie Journals. Right, like, comment, share, subscribe. We've got to get back up the road. I've got to get driving. So, anything else to add? No? Yes?
No.
No, right.
Grade 4 Rivers.
Four Rivers Financial Plan and proud sponsors of all long form, short form, any kind of form, Geordie Journals videos, any financial advice. Check out the link down there. You can contact them, and we will be back. We don't know, do we?
Can do a video. Lives are now in the equation.
We'll
We'll
definitely do
wait
one
and
of
see.
We'll do
After
something in the next few days. We don't know what
We've got
it'll
our
be.
meeting regarding memberships that you've said. So
Yes.
there'll be videos
We'll
as
do
and
some-
when.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We're active in the community as ever and in the comments. So let us know what you want to see from us, and we'll try our best to produce the goods.